What do you think of when you hear the words domestic violence? These are some of the most commonly talked about domestic violence behaviors. But what else aren't we talking about? Domestic violence can happen between anyone, including friend relationships and between family members. But for right now, I'm going to focus mostly on intimate partner violence. A clear and simple definition of domestic violence is the use of physical, sexual, and psychological coercion or force to establish and maintain control over a partner. It is a pattern of abusive behavior used over time and will not go away on its own, but rather increases in severity over time. When you are in a relationship, sometimes it can be hard to distinguish domestic violence behaviors, especially if there is no physical abuse. The difference between domestic violence and other relationship characteristics is that DV is a pattern of manipulation and control that happens over time and worsens over time. But what is domestic violence? What does it look like? It may look like bruises, but it also looks like isolation from family, friends, and resources, making you feel guilty about spending time with others besides your partner, or getting angry when you do. Not only isolating you from people, but similarly there can be isolation from resources, like taking the car keys, asking you for your paycheck or cashing it without you, taking or keeping credit cards or cash, or only providing you with an allowance or nothing at all. DV involves a lot of manipulation. Many of these things won't happen all at once, or even right away. Sometimes they do happen right away in some form and worsen and become abusive over time. Behaviors like guilt tripping, jealousy, unrealistic expectations, quick involvement, exploding over little things or an inability to handle frustration, cruelty, destruction, forced sex, rigid gender role expectations, put-downs and name-calling, or being made to feel like you're crazy, like being told an argument or behavior didn't happen when you know it did. There's more to that, but that is called gaslighting. With technology ever expanding, more and more often, domestic violence and our use of technology begin to intersect. While text, phone calls, and social media can be a great way to stay in touch and let your partner know you care about them and are thinking of them, those same platforms can be used for manipulation and abuse. For example, constant checking up, checking your cell phone, social media, email, demanding your passwords, obsessively sending messages or pictures 24/7, tracking you with GPS, sending texts or social media messages that embarrass, threaten, pressure, or belittle you, unwanted sexual pictures or sexting. It would not be okay for someone to flash you walking down the street. Why should you be subjected to that when you open your cell phone? That is sexual violence. So here's the part that is often so difficult to understand, but so damaging to ask. Why don't you just leave? It would seem like such an obvious decision to break it off with an abusive partner, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Here are 10 points to consider. 1. Emotional abuse often involves shame, guilt, and low self-esteem. Survivors of DV may believe the abuse is their fault or feel worthless. 2. People who are repeatedly abused can become desensitized to violence. A story you might hear that sounds horrific and unbelievable to tolerate could be someone's familiar daily life. 3. Abusers tend to physically isolate their partners. Isolation keeps self-esteem low, prevents support, and minimizes options of leaving. 4. Survivors may worry what others will think and stay out of shame. 5. They can't afford to leave. 6. Some survivors feel their children should be around two parents, regardless of whether the person co-parenting is abusive or violent. Or there may be times when the abuser acts as a great parent, and then it can become even more difficult to remove a child even if it is for their own safety. 7. There may be nowhere to go. 8. A survivor might believe their partner will change. Or 9. May believe or know their partner will hurt or kill them, their children, pets, family members, or friends. 10. The last point, something that seems impossible, the one we always forget, is that a person may not want to leave an abusive relationship because they love their abuser. Love, or the illusion of it, can be a powerful thing. Domestic violence is complicated. Survivors of DV don't ever just leave, they escape. It is the most dangerous time in their lives, and on average takes about 7 attempts before a person can escape their abuser for good. During this time, their likelihood of being killed by their abuser increases by 75%. They may need to start over from literally nothing more than the clothes on their backs. While this all may seem hopeless and terrifying, don't fret, you can help. First, stop asking, why don't they just leave? This helps nobody, and now you know why. In fact, feel free to share some of this education when you hear others ask the same question. Second, speak up if you hear racist, sexist, or homophobic comments. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Listen to your instincts and say something. Third, be a supportive friend. Be someone who can be confided in while reserving judgment. If someone tells you something, believe them. I can't stress this enough. You have to believe them. Lastly, you can get involved. Donate your money, talent, or time to a domestic violence services agency near you. All of these everyday actions can help improve social climates, spread awareness, and create change. Thanks for watching.